Okay, next stage on this, getting started on the painting. I've already decided to do all the pieces painted separately rather than trying to assemble it and paint it all together, because it's just not going to work. So I'll paint these two halves and the wing and so on, various pieces separately, and then glue them together and work on the seam afterwards. What I'm working on next here is the painting, of course, and they say to use, look here on the box, they say to use a satin white and a satin black, and that would be pretty good for a brand new space shuttle. The space shuttle, after they've been used, they kind of look like, you know, every single tile is a different shade of white or yellow or tan, and so which would be just a nightmare. A bug. But it's going to be the easiest to model it as a brand new space shuttle where all the tiles are still brand new and a satin white or a satin black or satin gray, and so that's what I'm going to be going with. And to do that, I've got I only got a Rust-Oleum satin white and a satin black, and I've already test fired this a little bit just on I wanted to see if it was going to etch the plastic, and it did. Sometimes Rust-Oleum you can spray right on the plastic. Sometimes you have to have a primer, and now the satin stuff definitely is a hot paint that digs in. Now I painted, let's see, yeah, there's a look at the satin white, and then I had sprayed some of this satin black on there, and it hazed and etched, and this piece is too big to fit in the strip tank, so I tried to sand the stuff off, and you can see it really got in there like a dye. So it's a hot paint. Cannot be sprayed straight on there, which creates a problem. And so my solution for that, of course, to solve that, you just put down a primer beforehand, and then that shields the plastic. But on a car, that would be no problem, because you would put down the primer, and then you would sand the primer nice and smooth before you put the paint on, and everything's solved. Now, something I can't do with this much detail work is like spray a primer and then sand the primer. So primer being kind of thick, I think that it would start to fill up these tiles, and I would lose the detail. So an idea I had was to spray the whole body with clear lacquer before putting on the satin white or the satin black. And I've tested that a little bit already just on a sprue. Right about there, I had sprayed this clear and then sprayed it with the satin, and it seemed to have done the trick. The clear spray didn't ruin any details, and it also shielded the plastic from the Rust-Oleum paint. So now, before I go spraying like a whole body part, which will not fit in the strip tank, so you get like one try at that, because it can't be sanded off, and so, you know, it wouldn't work. So I'm going to try a smaller piece. I've just got the rudder here, and I've cleaned this off, and I'm going to spray this clear, and then spray the satin white and see how that looks. So I'll be right back. Okay, really good. Got the clear sprayed on there, so you got it'd be a kind of a trip. It'd be a really shiny space shuttle. And so the idea, of course, here is to shield the plastic from the Rust-Oleum paint. And, you know, this worked fine, this step. And I'll let this, and as you can see, all the details are still preserved. You know, it's just like it, pretty much exactly like it was, and should be able to spray the Rust-Oleum on now. And the only detail you would lose would be whatever the Rust-Oleum fills up on the tiles. So yeah, it's looking good so far. As you know, sounds like it's gonna work, but we'll see. Be right back. Or actually, I gotta wait for that to dry overnight, and then I'll spray it tomorrow. So that worked pretty well. I went and I put the Rust-Oleum satin paint onto the clear, and I believe that's just about the finish I'm looking for. You know, modeled as a brand new space shuttle, you know, theoretically I should, I don't know, paint all of those tile lines black, but it's not going to happen. We're looking for, you know, a better than nothing model rather than perfect. So there's a, you know, trying to show the difference between, there we go. Okay, so bare plastic would look like that, and painted satin looks like that. And you know, I don't have any ripples or bubbles. There's a couple of little nicks there. There's nicks, little tiny nicks all over the model from where it's been bouncing around, hitting parts. And gosh, there's just nothing I can do about that. So, with this experiment gone right, I will next paint some larger pieces with the clear, and then paint them with the satin black and satin white, and move on from here. Okay, now I've sprayed clear on all the big main body panels, and there really was a lot of them. Let's hope that wind doesn't blow these off of here. This is just kind of unusual to see it like this. Space Shuttle is normally supposed to be the satin white, or it kind of looks like a real beat up satin white, and it's just real neat to see it. Super shiny. You see the clouds in that. And again, I'm just doing this as a, you know, a base coat or a primer coat, a sealer, so that the Rust-Oleum isn't going to craze the plastic. And it's just a look at that. And yes, over here I've got the big main fuselage parts. There's the cargo bay. The inside of the cargo bay seems to need to be kind of that appearance. I cleared over all that overspray, and I'll be spraying over that with clear. But yeah, the big main pieces also very shiny. Which, I don't know, I get a kick out of that. I don't know why. But yeah, of course, like I was saying, the idea here is to get it sealed with something that is not going to lose detail, and as you can see, all the detail is still there, so that when by the time we get a base coat like a primer that can't be sanded because of these tiles, the tile detail will still be there when the final coat of paint goes on. And over here, yeah, I had parts everywhere. This thing's so big. I've got, you know, you basically had to go through and find any part that had tiles on it. Has to be painted either satin black or satin white. And so I went through the whole kit finding any part that was going to have tiles. And a lot of them did. Even this back piece, if you look up really close, there are these big panels, lines. Yeah, kind of hard to see there. but it too is painted, or just the satin appearance. These are the wheel doors. This is the front wheel door, opens in 2 halves. Front thruster, yeah, there's tiles on that, This is the top, and these are the 2 little maneuvering thrusters go on this. This goes on the back there. These things mount up there, and these pieces here did not go together very well. Had to putty and sand and so on. But everything, I don't know if this goes together well or not. But no, it's a curiosity because there is no paint on this. This is just clear coated white plastic, and it's an idea for other airplanes. I want to get into building more airplanes. Like it's a commercial airplane, provided you don't have any marks on it like there. This would pretty much do the trick. If it's a white plastic, say for example like this Piper Cub up here. I think when I build that, I'm not even going to paint it. I'm just going to, it's all white plastic. I put the decals on and I'll just clear coat it, because of what you're seeing here. It's just, it looks like aviation paint. But that's for a different project, of course. We're talking about the shuttle here. So what I'll do is I'll put all these parts aside, let them dry for a couple days, and then I'll put the satin white on, and that will be the next thing that I'll do. Okay, I'm getting ready to paint the bottom of the wing and the landing gear doors, since all these parts are going to be black. Now there of course is going to be some two-tone parts to this, whereas like say the leading edge of the wing here is different tiles that are going to be on the box. They're going to paint it gray, and I'll see from photos what exact color that's really supposed to be, but we'll see. And I'm not going to be masking these off, not on this piece, because I'm kind of curious to see how much they fill up. Plus these would be pretty easy to rescue, as opposed to more detailed tiles like those. But when I get to the black part, like the fuselage right here, like on the box here, clearly there's going to be a two-tone, and I wouldn't want these tiles on the nose to fill up with paint. So when I go to paint this part white, I'll mask off the areas that are going to be black, just so those tiles don't fill up. And then when I go to paint the nose parts black, I'll mask off all the white and hopefully save as much detail as I can. And there's a few more of those leading edge tiles that are gray on the box, but we'll see what color they're really supposed to be. Maybe they really are supposed to be gray. Okay, I'm seeing the leading edge is gray, and then there's a black line behind them, and I think I just saw that on the wing. But now here's the curious thing. If you see here, that line going up and over, I was hoping there was a clear indication as to where that was going to be, but there isn't. So I'm going to have to go with reference pics on the internet to find out exactly where that line is, but it looks like it's literally going to cross straight over the center of tiles, which means I'm going to have a really sharp mask. There, I was thinking that was going to be a crisp line there, but there isn't. Anyway, getting ready to paint this part now, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so that is satin black. It's been drying for about 8 hours, so I'm guessing it's pretty much cured. And as you can see here, I still have all my tile detail. So this this idea to gloss coat it first instead of primer worked out pretty good. Now this is 2 coats of Rust-Oleum satin black, and the tiles still are not filled up, so this is a really good thing. And if you can see here on the edge, this part that's going to be gray, these longer tiles, are still very visible. I should be able to mask there, although I'll probably brush paint that. But one of the worries was that I wouldn't be able to see those lines anymore, and I definitely can, which is great. I'm happy with this, and it's showing up on camera. From what I see on the screen here, is a little shinier than it really is. Probably because there's a light directly above, but it doesn't look, and it kind of, the light dissipates like satin, like it's supposed to the eye here. So that's a little interesting here. And then here's the here are the doors for the landing gear. Happy with the way that came up too. Still all the tile detail is still there. So that proves the theory. You can definitely gloss coat instead of priming if you wanted to use a hotter paint like Rust-Oleum. Now this is over here. This is the exact paints that I used. I used the Testors 1261 gloss clear, and then I used the Rust-Oleum satin. But of course, if you wanted to skip all that, you could use just Testors satin and probably put no base coats down. But I wanted to use the Rust-Oleum because look how big the cans are, and look how big the fuselage are. I just figured if I needed a lot of paint, I should use big cans. And that's what I did. So this will pretty much do it for this entire update. I'll start painting the white parts next, but that'll be in update 3. But yeah, pretty happy. Alright, stay tuned.